Elizabeth Housen with Housen History, and today we're going to talk about creating stations and the thought process that I go through in creating the different station activities I do. So hope it helps you, and here we go. Okay, where do I start with any lesson? I start with the standard. If that standard uses the word compare, okay, well, I'm going to have at least two things to compare. So I could have two stations, I could have multiple stations. We'll find out within the standard. Or the standard has an overall idea. Maybe it says identify, but then it lists like 3 or 4 things after it, or explain, and it lists 3 or 4 things after it. So I'm looking at the standard and looking within the standard. Are there multiple ideas within the standard that students need to know? Right there, I'm going to go, ooh, that could be a station because it's one overall idea, and here are the things they need to know under it. So I can use that to create stations. Now, your brain is probably going, well, how am I supposed to know? Okay, I got the standard. There's 5 things under it. How am I supposed to know the information I'm going to use? Y'all, as a teacher, there is nothing wrong with using a textbook, especially if you can get a teacher edition, but if you can't, use the student edition. There is nothing wrong, especially if it's aligned to your standards, to open it up and go, here are the things that my students need to know for that standard. So for instance, one of the very first standards in which we create stations for in Texas is in our colonization unit for U.S. history. Compare political, economic, religious, and social reasons for the establishment of the 13 colonies. Right there. It says compare. My brain says, ooh, I can have stations. And then it tells me 4 things they're going to compare: political, economic, religious, and social. So I know I can have 4 different stations within my classroom. And then as a history teacher, I go one step further because it says 13 colonies. And I know that that is New England, Middle, and Southern. So actually, the way that I do it within my campus, and I'm super blessed to work with 2 other awesome teachers, is if you can do this, it is awesome, because sometimes setting up stations can take a lot of work. I flip and switch with my partner teachers. And so I might set up a classroom of New England colonies, and inside my classroom there's 4 stations: a political station, an economic station, a religious station, and a social station. But one of my partner teachers is going to do middle, and they'll have the 4 stations within there, and the other partner teacher will do Southern. And so I'm going to rotate different students, my students, their students, in my classroom over a 3-day period. So I only have to set something up once over 3 days to create those stations. And even my students are going to rotate to different classes. And so that works really great in setting up stations, especially if there's a lot of stuff at stations. You're going to have it out for 3 days. So try to think about who you can partner with to use those stations and set it up. Now, before I even figure out what's going to go at the station, I need to figure out what is it that students need to know. So what I do when I lesson plan and look at a standard is I take the standard and then I just start listing information. What is it that I need students to know? Then I'm going to go ahead and write questions based upon that information, or create charts, however it is that I want students to be able to tell me they're learning the knowledge, so that I will have that question booklet for students as they rotate through the stations. So I look at the standard, I list the knowledge they need to know. From that, I'm going to create the questions. Now I'm ready to figure out, what do I need to have at the station? So I look at the questions and I'm going to decide, do I want to use informational text? Do I want to use primary sources? Or do I want to use artifacts? There's 3 things that I can have at my station. And a lot of times I use all 3 within one, okay? At a station, I want to try to have at least 4 things, maybe 5 or 6 if I can have more. It's super awesome to have more. And the students can look at those things to answer those questions. And so if I'm thinking about the New England colonies, and let's say I'm doing my political station, I am for sure going to have some primary source reading on the Mayflower Compact. I'm also going to have some primary source reading on the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut. I might then have informational text that I got from my textbook, or maybe I got it off of a Google search that explains some of the importance of that. And then I might have some artifacts. I love at the beginning of the year with colonization at my political station, I always have a crown out because I really want students to understand that they're still connected to their mother country. I might also have a pen out, a feathered pen to represent writing laws, and then maybe even a ballot box because they did create that first representative government and they're going to vote in there. So they can really look at those items. Now, obviously, when I say artifacts, they're not real artifacts. Students use their imagination, but I like to use little artifact cards, kind of like a museum, a description card that can explain, hey, here's what it is and why it was important. And so students are going to start, I'll have one group start at that political station. I'll set a timer. I'm big on a timer. You got to get it done within the time. And then we'll move to the next station, and they will rotate between all 4 stations, talking to their groups, working together. One thing that I do try to do is if I have 6 different sources at a station, I only put one of each source. So they really do have to work together and talk to each other and share and trade those different sources. They can't just walk in and say, ooh, this is mine, I'm going to do my own work. So you want to really get them talking together and helping each other. Oh, hey, you have that on the Mayflower Compact. Can I see that, or what did it say? And then I go one step further, a little bit extra within my station. I am obsessed with just getting plastic tablecloths at Dollar Tree and using those different colors of different tablecloths to be different stations. Also lighting, lanterns. They have hanging lanterns at Dollar Tree. You put some batteries in them. Super cute. Students love them. I get lots of different lanterns. Camping lanterns I used. Lanterns at Five Below. Those are super popular with the students. Turn off the lights. They use the lanterns. I've also done stations where students have a flashlight and they're doing flashlight reading. So kind of setting the scene just a little bit so they get excited about coming in and learning. One day I had a student that was like, oh yes, we're doing something fun today. I can see stations set up. And I'm like, yeah, we're reading the Constitution. Super fun, looking at a whole bunch of primary sources. But in their brain, when they saw the setup and they saw those little things, they were like, ooh, this is a little fancy today. So it's something for you to think about. If you want more ideas on stations, definitely scroll through my Instagram. I have lots of things in there. If you have any questions, leave them down below.